Have you ever walked out of a mall into a huge parking area and realized you'd forgotten where you parked your car? Ever gone mountain biking? What do you want to be when you grow up? What's the right tip? Have you called a plumber to your home lately? How superstitious are you? How much money would it take to make you spend a night in a cemetery? Would you display this as a trophy? Do you have a pet? Do you have a sweet tooth? Do you believe in the power of a curse? Have you had your hearing tested lately? Planning a trip soon? Can you remember the tallest man you've ever seen? Do you love to go a-wandering beneath a clear blue sky? Have you noticed what big stars real estate agents have become? Are you careful with your personal records? Does your computer ever seem to have a mind of its own? Have you ever visited a Chinatown section in a major city? Have you ever visited a flea market? Have you ever visited a truck stop? Did you ever have a job as a waiter? Have you noticed how many successful restaurants are theme-based these days? Have you ever had the desire to write your initials in wet cement?
I'm starting to feel like I've never lived, Gary.
My answer that really cries out for AI. Yeah. I want to see Jonathan Frakes saying, "Do you like it when a dog grabs onto your legs and rubs up and down?" Yeah, that sort of thing.
Do you remember the tallest man you've ever seen? Just brilliant stuff.
You know what? It's so funny. I actually just recently discovered that show, and which is called Beyond Belief. I guess it ran for like 5 years, and I just realized everything on that from that series is on Amazon Prime. So I'm kind of going through those. It's a great show.
I'm gonna have to see this now. I'm gonna need some therapy, I think, after this last couple of months, because we may be battered, but our shields are still holding long enough to hailing us on the USS Warp Drive. We're live and we're raw yet again, beaming in to the USS Athena and crashing out in our drinking den here, 10 backward, where they still haven't found us. After a couple of months, we serve up Trek talk, banter, and other bollocks right up your Alpha Quadrant, direct to your table. Just gesture over to us, and we will pop it in the replicator, and you'll have it in next to no time. Yes, so we're ready to go. I've got the Rabbi from another planet here, directly in the engine room, so to speak. So you're below me there, but you're actually to the side of me there. But there he is anyway.
It sounds kind of kinky, but okay.
Let's go with it anyway. We have Gary Akers here too, with his Enterprise cap.
I'm on the holodeck.
You're on the holodeck. Like right
yes, this is the Enterprise mirror universe.
I was going to say, because it's got the swords, it's the Enterprise. Yeah. I really like that episode.
Yeah,
that to Enter Mirror Darkly. Yep. That was one of the cleverest mirror episodes I saw. I really like that. I like them torturing the was it Tholian?
I could have done a whole series with Mirror Hoshi.
Yeah, I did. Seriously, I love that.
Yes. Totally down for that. It's so good to have you with us, and I'm happy to say that Chris has made it to the mighty Bowlestrek. Still somewhat under the weather, aren't you, mate? But you've made it anyway. Great to have you back.
I'm in hell. Yes. Thanks, Dan, for calling me here to review this work of brilliance. It was
I
awesome.
genuinely am so excited. We've only got 1 week left of this.
Yeah.
So is your enthusiasm for the 2-part finale? Is it big or is it small? Is it getting smaller and smaller by the week?
Yeah. Well, I hate to brag, but it's getting smaller and smaller.
Yeah, because obviously it has kind of worn us down a little bit, but we are heading into the final straight. Reception to the show has been largely condemning. The few people you will find who have enjoyed it are very insistent about the fact, and they get very, very up in their feels about it, don't they? They come after you in a big way. That's
because they're lying. That's because they're lying, and they only like it because it politically aligns with them, right? And they know it's shit, and that's why they get so mad at you for pointing out it's the same thing with every other piece of shit over the last 10 years. They get so mad at you for pointing out why that is shit because they know it's shit, and they don't want to hear that it's shit, and it is shit.
It's true.
Oh.
Yeah, we know the steps to this dance, don't we? Really rather well. After the last pushing a decade now. I did think they'd give it a rest for Star Trek's 60th anniversary. Gary, I was just kidding myself, wasn't I?
Yep. Wait, give what a rest?
The identity politics, the ridiculous DEI staffing behind and in front of the camera. You name it, really. I thought that they'd at least want this material to stand the test of time, to represent something of the legacy of this far longer franchise that's obviously older than a great many of the people, in fact, practically all of the people who've been working on it of late. I mean, it is a disgrace to what Gene Roddenberry's original intention was.
It only represents Alex Kurtzman's mania.
Degeneracy.
I'm hot. Every time I'm aware that somebody that we like is getting involved again, you think, oh, well, at least there's one professional back in the building. Jonathan Frakes returns to Star Trek for this. I don't know if it's just this one he's directing or whether he's directing both parts.
No, just this one.
Just this one, which seems a pity. Obviously directed not just for television, but for movies too. Very respected, very capable director, as well as actor. He's very much in line, I suppose. He says the right things the majority of the time. I get the impression there are things under the surface which he'll never say, but then again, he's a consummate professional, and in that way, if somebody is old school in that way, I'm never going to mock them for it. But I can't imagine that somebody as accomplished as Jonathan Frakes would come to a production like this and not recognize it for the shit show that it is. The question, of course, does remain to be answered is can Frakes polish this turd? Can he get a decent performance out of this cast? Can he aid us as audience members in the telling of a tale? Because I think that's where we've struggled in the last couple of months. I think the series has sort of, as it's made its way through to this point, to the 9th episode we're going to be talking about later, it's been hard to pin down any of it. It hasn't held my attention, and it's just made me yearn to watch something else, anything else. And when I think about how, earlier Star Treks and the stuff that Jonathan Frakes was involved with on screen, as well as the movies that he directed, God, I'd much rather go and watch them than any of this. So what do you think? I mean, when people come back to this, people who've been like cast members before, Gary, or people who may have written for it or directed on earlier Star Treks, or simply on better shows, contemporary shows, what do you think? Do they just view it as, well, look, at the end of the day, I'm getting paid, or whatever? Or do you think that they are genuinely disappointed when they get their hands on Star Trek and the material that they're given is so insubstantial?
Well, I mean, when it comes to Jonathan Frakes, actually, I mean, whenever I hear that he's directing an episode, I'm pretty like, okay, that's going to be, if nothing else, solidly told. I mean, I think he's directed for every single live action series of Trek since Next Gen. Anywhere from like 2 to half a dozen episodes of each series. So by this point, he knows what he's doing. I do want to say that, and I say this not because somebody's off camera with a gun to my head and nobody's holding members of my family hostage. I can honestly say that, except for a couple of glaring script problems, which we'll get to, overall, I actually enjoyed this episode more than any of the other ones this season, but that's almost entirely due to Jonathan Frakes being a better storyteller than any other director this entire season. No matter what he's given, he can he can make it work. I always enjoy reading interviews with him, like after he's worked on a specific series, and kind of like what he brought, what he saw, what he did, and everything. So I'm not saying this episode is error-free in any way. I'm just saying the story that he was handed was well told by him.
I do wonder, because we've all seen it, haven't we, whereby we know we're watching something crap, Rabbi, but because the lead actor is simply the right person in the right role at the right time, and they're going with it, quite often, if we've been sort of won over by a series generally, then we'll ride out a couple of iffy episodes, won't we? But when an entire run of something is iffy, when most of the cast are unwise choices, you get worn down, don't you? And
yeah, listen, Gary, God bless you. I think you're going to go into treatment for what's it called again? Stockholm syndrome, right?
Well,
it's the only thing that makes sense. This is, I mean, would I prefer this or an anal fisting? I still think this is better than an anal fisting.
No, you'll hear my criticisms later, Rabbi. You absolutely will.
I just hate every moment. I like why the Klingon permanently wears a fucking dress now. Like it's like they introduced it 3 or 4 episodes in. Anything with the hologram character is fucking awful. Right?
What I don't understand.
I can't stand Smug Genesis.
Rabbi, what I don't understand. What I don't understand. What I don't understand, Rabbi, is why, if say we take it as read that that these are just our kind of prejudices in the 21st century, the 20th century, and that in generations to come, skirts will be worn by men, or even dresses, and nobody will give it a moment's thought.
Yeah, no,
why
it's
is
not
it?
happen.
So
they
why
did that
is
in the
it?
first season on Next Gen and it looked stupid then as well, or was it just a pilot?
So why is it that Caleb and Durham, they never wear skirts or dresses? It's only this character who they framed as being gay.
Oh, okay, I can explain this, right? It's because it's written by white people in Hollywood who are all racist, and they can't see, they can never project like a black alpha male, even when he's a Klingon. So that's why he's had to be totally emasculated.
Well, it's not just emasculating.
And it was okay with Caleb because he's slightly less black. That's what's going on in their heads, because they're all freaking racist, right? That's the only way they view reality. Caleb, the guy who plays him, is the only thing in this show that I think that guy's got a career. He should go forward. He's built well. He's charismatic. He's got a lot going for him. Other than he's in this show, everybody else. I mean, I kind of like Durham as well. Everybody else, I think, it's time to move on from acting.
It doesn't work in the other direction. So the women in the series are really, and particularly the Psycho, is very, very feminine. I'd say that, Genesis is somewhat of a girl boss. You're quite right, Chris, in that sort of tag. But she's also, she's a very pretty girl who plays that part. And they've always got, she's pretty much always in the skirt. I don't think I've seen her in trousers. And what's her name? Sam, she's got that kind of cutesy vibe to it that some guys may like, some girls may like. I don't know.
If you like Sam, I don't want to see your internet history. There's some weird shit going on. What?
But what I'm saying is, though, there's no crew cut lesbians. I mean, they've got that covered with what's her name, Tig Notaro, and the bridge. Everybody who's like the seniors. But here it's like they're mega feminine in many respects. Certainly 2 out of the 3 of them, and it just makes me wonder why.
Okay, here's my guess, Dan, to answer your original question. Why do they put, like in the scene we have here where the princess comes in and Jaden's there in his skirt? I think because that is their visual shorthand for letting all of us know this is a gay character. And I know it's condescending, and if I were gay, I would be insulted. But when they don't have a script like the Klingon one a few episodes ago, which is all about him being gay, they still have to instantly be able to communicate to us, hey, everybody, this guy is gay. And the way they do that is by putting him in a skirt. Because they can't let us forget that he's gay, and just us seeing him in a skirt, in their minds, I think that will be our fast reminder of that.
That's the conclusion that I sort of got to, but I couldn't quite communicate. Is that we're being programmed by this stuff?
Yes,
and in a way that's never acknowledged in the dialogue, but it's just always there, and that distinction is always there.
Yeah,
because like big blokes wear kilts, for example, all the time in everything from WWE to some action movies, or Game of Thrones or that kind of thing. But it's a kilt and a skirt aren't the same thing, are they? It's very definitely a skirt. that what's his name? I can never remember this character's bloody name either.
Brittany.
Jaden, isn't it?
Jade.
Oh,
They all
God.
got modern names, right? They all got 2026 names with a little twist. So he's J-10. By that picture of Barclay, by the way, that was a great episode. The one thing that could save the show is if they pull out on the final thing and it turns out this is all happening in the Moriarty artificial reality thing.
Yeah, there you go.
Right? At that point, I'll be like, well, that's okay, and it's got a fault. Right?
The last
has to fix it. Exactly.
the last two words at the end of the final episode needs to be end program.
Exactly. They need to send Elsewhere it, right? Remember send Elsewhere?
Yes.
Oh, did that happen in that? I never
No,
saw that.
they
It
implied
pulled out
it's in
and it was in
Elsewhere.
the snow globe.
The whole thing was an imagining of his autistic son staring into a snow globe.
Right. And it turned out that Dr. Craig, who was also the voice of Kit, was like a lumberjack or a sheet metal worker or something. I don't know. They were none of them were doctors.
Yeah.
Let's get stuck into the episode itself because we are nearly home and dry, everybody. This is the beginning of a 2-part season finale at long last for the cadets at Starfleet Academy and for us who've been there for every single episode of this so far. It's been hard trek, but we're nearly there, Chris.
I need you to stop staring at me like that.
That's the Miramani music from the original series.
There wasn't much acting going on in that clip, let me tell you.
That's right.
Even that doesn't cheer me up today.
Oh, maybe the knowledge that we're nearly there will, as we work the controls here, to dial into our account, our Paramount Plus account, for the first part of the 2-part season finale to season 1 of Starfleet Academy at long last. They're not in the classroom much in this one, come to think of it. In fact, the classroom, I think, is sort of floating around in orbit somewhere. This is supposed to be the end of an academic year, but these kids have spent less time in the classrooms than what's her name, Greta Thunberg did, haven't they? Nobody is taking a bow. This has been largely a total disaster. It's left a bad taste in most of our mouths, but here we are nonetheless, right through to the almost bitter end for 300th night. This is the 9th episode of this season. The teleplay is by Kirsten Beyer. The story is by Kirsten Beyer and Kenneth Lynn, and it's directed by Jonathan Frakes. The plot goes something like this. As the year comes to an end, Caleb must choose between the life he thought he wanted, I know the feeling, and the life he's built for himself at Starfleet Academy. Meanwhile, Nala breaks protocol in one final gambit to keep a promise to Caleb. And amazingly, Nala, she stays sober throughout the entirety of this, doesn't she, Chris? I don't think she took a tipple at any point.
I think there's a scene where we see her have an actual stroke, but you forgot one thing, Dan. Oh yes, and I must disagree with Rabbi. I did not enjoy this episode. But before you proceed, Dan, just 2 points of clarification. The first is, so we've now gone 8 episodes without Portly Dan, and Plumpy hasn't been seen in 3 episodes now, so this is all very suspicious. And in terms of keeping up with my names, so I'd like to welcome back She-Hulk, but given her new appearance, where she appears to want to look like a 10-year-old boy, she's now known as Bob. So welcome back, Bob.
Yeah, well, that was a weird haircut she got. Well, can I respond to Red Six Down? He says, you guys complain about everything without the understanding of what we're understanding what do you want from Star Trek. No, I understand exactly what I want from Star Trek. I've seen every episode of fucking Star Trek. This is nothing like Star Trek. This is a shitty what they called again, like teen. What are those books again?
YA.
Well, yeah, this is a shitty YA, brainless piece of tat. See, Star Trek was always intelligent, right? Star Trek was always way more intelligent than everything else around it, and it was still fun and entertaining. This is dumb as shit. This is thicker than pig shit, like mashed together into a giant cauldron with cement.
It's written for people that have had strokes.
Terrible characters, terrible writing, and look, there's a gay Klingon in it, so it must be good. No, I like the idea of doing a gay Klingon could actually work, but not by these arse clowns. They can't do anything. Right? You're defending worthless shit out of a political alignment because you're a fucking moron, in my opinion. Never met you.
I will second that. Well, okay, and just to answer what somebody that isn't a fucking idiot wants out of Star Trek, if you want the positive Star Trek, there is Star Trek: The Next Generation. That's what we want. If you want dark Star Trek, there's Deep Space Nine and Enterprise Season 3. That's what we want. Nobody with a modicum of intelligence will want this.
Yeah, Red 6 down. Obviously, thank you for the comments. I haven't noticed your name before, and we usually answer the comments a little later on, but this is really quite adversarial and rather uncalled for, I think. So you're more than welcome to express your opinion and to bring us to task, particularly if you've never been here before. But the notion that we don't understand sci-fi or Star Trek is rather a reach. And, maybe don't shoot the messenger, listen to what we have to say, and maybe go back and watch our celebration episode from when we came back with this show a couple of months ago. And, maybe open your mind a touch. If you enjoyed it, if you've been enjoying it, that's up to you. But there are more opinions out there. And you may find, if you continue listening to the conversation, that some of ours may surprise you as well. So you're welcome to say whatever you like, express any point of view. But if you think we don't understand X, Y, or Z, but you're a total newcomer here, it's not really going to wash. But thanks anyway. There's several comments. You complain about everything without the understanding of what you want. This is all bullshit, mate. Give it a rest and just open your ears and chill the fuck out. Maybe take a lesson, but do this. Look at it differently. Thank you, everybody. We will come to some of the comments later on, so we're starring them to get back to. We do appreciate all of your inputs on this. So this episode dropped on March the 5th on Paramount Plus, full of lots of sort of B, C tier sci-fi schlocky sets and costumes, lots of people in rags, studio floors with bits of grit or shit and puddles sort of spilt on them to try and make it look like we're somewhere we're not. I don't know what to make of this. I mean, this is an expensive production. We're heading towards the season finale. The stakes should be going up. The production value should also be going up as well, because a couple of these episodes have looked as cheap as fuck. So you'd think, well, they must be holding something back. And whilst, in my opinion, I agree with you, Gary, I think this was easily the most watchable out of everything in this season so far. I think there is some merit to this. It did look really quite generic in terms of modern science fiction, and lacks that kind of. It lacks the Star Trek-iness. I feel like I could be watching an episode of practically anything.
Final Conflict, right? That's what it felt like to me. Remember that from the 90s, from a pitch from Gene Roddenberry from the 60s?
I do. I mean, what it does do, Rabbi, what it does do sensibly is that, as you mentioned a few moments ago, is it moves Caleb center of this story. Because that actor, Sandro Rosta, who plays Caleb, I agree with you. I think he's fantastic. I think he's a great lead for this show. In some ways, he looks too jacked and too old to be a cadet, but I think he's got quite a lot of range. I think he's got masses of charisma, more than capable of doing all the action stuff. And obviously, this is, sooner than I think we thought, bringing the character to an important junction in his life where he gets the news.
Finale. I thought this would be at the end of the season.
Well, I think a lot of us sort of speculated they'd save it until season 2, the reunion with his mother. But here we are, and they go in quite deep with this, and I think it's potentially a plot that a lot of people could find affecting. It depends on how it's written and how it's played, obviously. So I felt that starting with that made a lot of sense, and I wouldn't say I'd missed the character, but I thought, okay, now I feel that at least there's somebody competent center stage in this.
Yeah. And
so I was able to follow it a lot easier, Gary. It held my attention, which, I fell asleep last week.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Some of these episodes have just been a struggle to kind of get through. I don't think, and I think Rabbi's mentioned a couple of times about, looking at the clock, as you've been watching the show. Most episodes I've looked at the time code about like half a dozen times during. It's like, how much more is this to go? And this one I actually kind of sailed through it. I think, like I said, the few positives I have for this are all going to be, I'm not going to do them all now, we'll spread them out throughout the show. The few positives I have are about his directorial touches, not about the story. I think, though, that story-wise, let me just say two things. I'm not going to try to co-opt, Dan, what we're going to cover. I just think that this episode made me realize there's two big problems with setting each of these episodes a month apart in story terms. They want to get through a whole year in 10 episodes. And both of those big problems are highlighted in this episode. The first is that we're at the end of the year, right? But we haven't really seen the cadets progress through their first year in terms of struggling with their courses, late night study sessions, problems with the teachers. Holly Hunter says they're feeling all they've accomplished this year. Well, we haven't seen it. Here's what we've seen. We've seen a debate, we've seen a play, and we've seen a bar fight. That's been about all we've seen as their highlights for their first year. One of my favorite old shows is The Paper Chase with John Houseman.
Oh, that was great.
The law students. I have all 4 seasons of that on DVD. I love that series. Well acted, well written about these young law students struggling through with this autocratic teacher and finding themselves and what they want to do. That was a great show about people learning and growing with where they are. We haven't seen anything like that here. And it also makes no sense that some of the situations and conversations that we've seen would sit for a month, like the one with Holly Hunter going to Genesis. Oh, you did really great. She wouldn't wait a month and then we're going to get to that conversation with the president. He's the president, right? The Federation president.
Yeah.
Pops in. Some of the stuff he says in there is just, wait a minute. It took you bullshitter. Did he say at some point in this? Well, I'll say, yeah. One more thing about the students before I talk about the president. The Stephen Colbert computer, who basically has what I'm sure the writers thought was a hilarious comment about, hey, cadet, storage rooms are for storage. So remember, just keep it in your pants. Which I think the computer does. So these cadets are supposed to be like the best of the best, mature and responsible, training to be like for Starfleet careers. And a lot of times they play it that this place is a frat house with transporters. Basically.
Quite right.
Yeah,
Yeah, based on
like
what
retarded transporters that you don't have to go to a transport pad to.
The format of breaking this down into an academic year has not worked at all. I think that it's confused matters. Because you're quite right. They cannot, not with 10 episodes. It can't be structured in that way. I think if you were looking at a show which had 22 episodes in the traditional model, it would work fine. Because just as you say, Gary, there are conversations that are had that wouldn't just sort of rest where they were, and you could keep going back to them over a longer time. But you can't do that with a show like this, because it's delivered in the format of an event series, and yet it feels like we're watching network television but in between each episode of this, there's been 3 or 4 that we've missed for whatever reason. which could be seen as a blessing. Either way, it feels like it's neither one thing nor the other, I suppose, is what I'm saying. And so when they keep flashing up those big graphics, Chris, saying, it's a spring term, it's spring semester, or whatever you want to call it, they think, oh God, yeah, they're at school, aren't they? I keep forgetting, because just as Gary says, they just feel like they're in some sort of clubhouse, hanging out, hooking up, getting stoned, getting loaded, and the bits in between, they simply wear these nice uniforms for no clear reason. So that's an inherent problem with the format, which I know they've tried to do this over and over again. I'm not saying the format couldn't have worked, but it just doesn't work like this.
Well, they haven't. I don't really see any admirable qualities in any of these kids. They're a bunch of spoiled, narcissistic, whining babies. And let's just go over the list of actual crimes that were committed by this group of stellar young people this week. So we have theft, we have kidnapping, we have mutiny. Given the situation, I think this is also treason. And this is not like an insurrection when a completely out of character Captain Picard and friends decided to go on their own. They were experienced Starfleet officers who had earned our attention over decade, well, not 11 years at that point. These are a bunch of little spoiled narcissistic brats who stole a ship to go and find the degenerate's mommy. That's your plot. Let's steal everything and commit crimes so we can find mommy. So they found mommy with her stupid haircut. So that's what happened this week. A bunch of crimes to find a criminal. Everybody's a criminal, and Mumbles is an idiot.
And we've seen various crews on various shows do that before. I mean, my favorite example is probably Star Trek 3.
Yeah.
Do this, Kirk, and you'll never sit in the captain's chair again. That had weight to it because we'd followed Kirk's career. He was an older man where, we'd seen him get his reading glasses and all that kind of thing. And he was making that decision, which would change his life in a way that potentially he had no way of knowing what the outcome of that was going to be, either professionally or personally. With this, we've known these characters for a few short weeks. And therefore, as you say, Chris, it seems like just a bunch of kids nicking a car to go off joyriding. I mean, I know there was an emotional anchor to it for the lead character, and I'll be honest with you, I did find that stuff affecting. I did, but because I just don't think.
Although it was affecting because it was parts of it, like visually, it was directed well because you had Frakes behind this. It had nothing to do with the show. It was because you have somebody who's been directing Star Trek for 36 years, because his first episode was directed in 1990. So he knows what he's doing. So I think visually it was fine. But what kind of message are you sending here? It's like, you can do whatever you want just because. And also an interesting plot hole. Let's kidnap Genesis so she doesn't tattle on us. So that was like literal kidnapping. And then in the next scene, Brittany and the Psycho just tell on them anyway, which completely nullifies kidnapping Genesis in the first place. And can we also talk? There's one scene in here which is also shot well because of Frakes, but really stupid. So there's the scenes at the end of this where the degenerate starts acting like more of a spoiled baby than usual, and starts yelling at everybody. And you'll see this when my video comes out. But to the writers, when you're going to set something up like this, you have to actually set it up, or at least plant some kind of seed at some point in your previous 8 episodes. And I'm talking about the scene where, Toxic Timmy, he's supposed to be a jerk. But then he goes off on girl boss Genesis. Like, all you think about is yourself. You're a spoiled brat, so forth, so forth, so forth. So here's what I have to call writers. That basically describes everybody on this show. And I would actually say one of the least annoying characters, which doesn't say much, but one of the least annoying characters is girl boss Genesis. And I would say probably, the least attention seeking, aside from banging half the campus in her off time, which is my theory. But outside of that, not really seeking a whole lot of attention. Genesis didn't even get her own episode. She had to share her episode with the Degenerate. So I'm like, so they're building this whole thing up that she's like this selfish, mean person. I'm like, she's annoying just like everybody else, but you didn't actually build that up. You just made her just as annoying as everybody else. And I actually laughed when I saw this. I'm like, okay, if you were doing that with the Psycho, that would make sense because she's nuts. If you're going to do that with the Degenerate, he's probably the most narcissistic, self-obsessed character on this entire show. I would argue Brittany also wants more attention because he wears his pretty dresses. And Mumbles is just an idiot. But but setting aside all the woke stuff, setting aside all the terrible things, just something like that, when you're trying to build it up, and they do try to build it up as this big scene, you have done nothing in 8 episodes to set that up. Other than being like everybody else out there, you have not established anything that this character is self-absorbed. She just seemed just like the rest of them. So how is this supposed to hit home? Again, this is what happens when idiots write things. We have to have an impactful moment. Did we set it up? No, who cares? They'll get it. And suddenly Brittany wants everybody to be friends. And then Toxic Timmy is going off at the Degenerate because, well, how is this going to affect Brittany? Who cares how this is going to affect Brittany? He's not there. He wanted you to be a member of his house. He didn't even take
Chris,
his drug stuff.
Brittany himself didn't appear to give a shit. So nobody else seemed anywhere near as bothered as other people on his behalf. I was quite intrigued by the idea in this that the Sam character that we have now is a different version of the character we'd had in the previous episodes. But because last week that plot, the development of that character and her first sort of death and rebirth was so badly handled, I thought, well, is that really what happened? Oh, I suppose it is. I should be interested in that, shouldn't I? Well, why aren't I? Well, that's on them because it was badly made, badly written, badly acted, badly presented in every way.
Dan, I went back to that scene because I torture myself because I have to watch these several times. So I went and watched there. I'm like, what? Why does Brittany care? So I go back and watch that scene. So in the first episode, within the same episode, the writers could not set this up properly because Brittany offers the Degenerate his little mug of roofies or whatever he was feeding those kids. And the Degenerate turns him down. He's like, I don't want this. And then he goes off to sulk about his mommy. So no, Timmy, he wasn't part of Brittany's house because he literally turned down his offer. So once again, out of nowhere, how does this affect Brittany? Why does it matter how this affects Brittany? And this is down to bad writing. This is just down to terrible writing. You have 2 things back to back that you failed to set up. One, you set up the opposite thing in the same episode. You people suck.
I like the fact he's got a bong there on the floor next to.
Well, I think all of this in this scene, I just saw this as kind of like I won't say homage because that's giving the writers way too much credit, but I think it's a reference to that Next Gen story where he bonds with the little boy who's orphaned and brings, I think it was called The Bonding, where his mom.
Yeah, I watched that recently. It's brilliant.
Served on the ship, and then he brought the little boy into his house with a ritual like that.
You could be right. I mean, they've done everything they can to line this up with episodes of Next Gen, There's a whole tribute apparently to Deep Space Nine, but several strands of various Voyager episodes. All of a sudden, Voyager is very much in from the cold.
Oh boy, yes.
But I'm not sure how effective that's being either. I mean, it's probably great for Robert Picardo's ego, and Robert Picardo was good in this. I thought. I felt he was on point.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, he's always good when he's on screen because he gets the talent.
And in fact, Rabbi, I'd say that, obviously with Gina Yashia in that terrible character being off screen for now several weeks, just as Chris said.
And thank God for that. I mean, who had that good idea?
Well, we've now got this sort of stripped back, the real bridge crew, including that Becky Lynch, is it, from the wrestling? She's gone.
That's right.
And we're
They're all
presented
gone.
with Tig Notaro. Everybody's fucked off. So
There's a scene, Dan. There's a scene with only 3 of them on the bridge. There's only 3 people on the bridge. You've got the Doctor, you've got unemployable Tig Notaro, and Mumbles.
I think Tig Notaro had a line explaining that.
Well, what they really needed was a line explaining that just as everybody is being offloaded to Beta Z for the ceremony, that like all of the bridge crew was as well. They could have dealt with it in a line, but they needed like one line to explain why all the rest of them aren't there. And I see what they're trying to do here. They're trying to give it like a Star Trek 3 feel, where you just need like a few of the regulars can take the ship. But
what I'm saying though, Gary, is that wasn't this so much better? I think Holly Hunter is completely miscast in this. I think she's dragged the series down to depths that this was always going to be bad. But by miscasting that character, they really have hindered it quite severely. But just by dropping the number of people who were on screen all the time, it made it at least a lot easier to keep track of who was doing what and why. I'm no fan of Tig Notaro. I think the character is ridiculous and shit. Having said that, because Robert Picardo was so good, I felt that she raised her game to match him. And because they were both, at least they felt present in the scenes together, I wasn't so focused on Holly Hunter being so bad, because two people who at least seemed to be experiencing the things that they were trying to sell us on were present. I believed in those two characters, and that's not something I'm used to from this show.
I totally agree. I totally agree with your analysis there, Dan. But once again, all it takes is one Holly Hunter acting choice as to where she's going to play the role to destroy all that in like cringe. Dan, tell me you didn't cringe.
It's terrible.
Tell me you didn't cringe where in the scene we're talking about now, where the Doctor and Tig Notaro are at the helm there, and Holly Hunter comes up and sits on the console between them, dangling her legs. I just went, oh come. Again, I'm sure it was a Holly Hunter acting choice, and Frakes just went along with it.
Oh, it was.
There's no way that Frakes would have suggested that. No way. It had to be a Holly Hunter choice.
Well, I also have another hole to pick, because if they were indeed trying to portray this as a Star Trek 3 thing, which if they did, they failed terribly. But also the situation in Star Trek 3, and I'm sure they just Googled a video and saw that and like, okay, it's fill in the blanks. In Star Trek 3, they actually stole the Enterprise to go into a forbidden sector to save Kirk's best friend, who he had known for decades at this point. Here, they didn't steal the ship. Commander-in-Chief Wimpy gave them permission to take the ship. So you cannot be this heroic ship thieves, at least as far as the Athena goes, when your boss gives you permission to do that and then deliberately ignores your messages so you don't have to defy his orders. This is not the same as Star Trek 3.
No, Chris, I am not saying that this is like Star Trek 3.
No, I'm not saying you were saying that, Gary. I'm saying I think this is how they were trying to set that up.
They're deliberately trying to evoke those things that we liked better. In fact, there was a shot in this. Do you remember if not the season finale? I know the Rabbi, you've watched this quite recently. The season finale to Picard season 3. I think there was a scene where the Enterprise D sort of descended out of the sky.
Oh yeah, they did kind of rip that off, didn't they?
They completely ripped it off in this. That was only 3 years ago, and yet they totally ripped it off again for this. And to be fair, I fell for it.
It was a good visual.
I fell for it when the Athena dropped down out of the sky and beamed them all away. And then afterwards, I thought, God, that's familiar. And it took about 30 seconds. Okay. But
I recognized that as it was happening. I'm like, they're ripping themselves.
Again, a directorial choice by Jonathan Frakes. There's that common thread. It's like, I shudder to think how this episode would have turned out if it had been directed by, say, for example, the person who directed it.
Any of the other ones? Well, Gary, it's confusing when you look at it. It's like you have this. It's a situation where you have a complete disaster on every level, and then you bring in like the one adult who knows what he's doing, and yes, Frakes knows what he's doing. Like the guy even directed 2 of the movies, one of the good ones in Insurrection.
I kind of like Insurrection. Insurrection was way better than this.
Well, everything's better than this. Stuff in the
That's
toilet
true,
is
that's
better than
true.
this.
Ain't no
But it's a situation where you have a show that's a complete disaster. You have plot lines that don't make sense. You have terrible casting across the board, terrible writing. Even the sets, as far as I'm concerned, look stupid. And then you bring in Frakes, who his politics are pretty much in line with everybody else, but he does, at least when he's directing, he the guy's a professional. So you bring in like the one person who knows what he's doing, probably one of the only, actually at this point, possibly the only person currently active in the entire Star Trek universe that has any idea what he's doing. So it's interesting in that where you have a very competent, very, I would say, talented director trying to fix a mess. And it's evident on screen when you compare visually the directing compared to everything we've had before. It's like, okay, somebody here knows what they're doing, but this person did not write the story. This person did not write the dialogue. This person did not cast these characters. He's trying to do the best he can with the complete trash that he's left to work with. And you kind of feel bad for Frakes, and I'm sure in the back of his head, because this guy has worked with every series, like literally all of them, including Picard, including Strange New Worlds, including Discovery, and including he's done TNG, he's done DS9, he's done Voyager, he's done Enterprise.
Chris, I was able to keep track of where everybody was, why they were there, what they were doing, and why. Which,
well, you think, Dan, when you look at this from Frakes' perspective, this is the man who's worked with casts on some of the best shows ever made, which I will call the real Star Trek series. Plus, I think his episodes of Strange New Worlds were fine. I think his episodes of Discovery, same thing here, look good, but this show is actually worse than Discovery. So I have to think from Frakes' perspective, who has worked with the best, who's now working with this, and I think it goes as telling. He also said this is his last Star Trek episode, at least for the time being. After directing this, he has no plans to direct any more.
Well, there aren't going to be any more after this.
And I think that might be telling, where after this, he doesn't want to direct any more Star Trek. I don't think he would say this publicly because the guy is a professional. But I have to wonder what went on behind the scenes, because you gave the guy absolute shit to work with. You could tell, it's on screen, he was trying to fix it the best he could. And as soon as the day this episode airs, he says this will be the last episode of Star Trek he's directing for at least for the immediate future.
Yeah.
So one would think that something went on behind the scenes, and I don't think it was all fun and roses. I think he came on to direct this episode because even the other terrible shows were not this bad, and they gave him this complete and utter shit, and his name is now attached to this. So I don't think he gives a shit.
I don't think he cares. I think he got a paycheck. He's what's in his 80s now. He got a paycheck for a job done. He's going to defend it because he's professional. I'm
not, Rabbi. I don't think he would say any of these things, but anybody, if they are being honest, could tell that this is trash. And I think and Frakes has a very long career with Star Trek from 1987 up until this. So that, his career is 39, almost 40 years old. So if your career within Star Trek ends with this episode, that's got to suck. Like, he wouldn't say it. I don't think he'd say it, but that's got to suck.
Let me mention a couple of the other things really quickly of his directorial choices that I thought were interesting. I thought that overall, I get what I kind of resonate with what you guys are saying about like the scenes in the market. Yeah, they do look a little kind of low budget stuff, but I was kind of looking at the background, like the far background, because some of his perspective shots, you can see like the far background. And apparently this is some like massive new production stage in Toronto where there's like a couple of thousand like LED panels on the walls and on the ceilings.
It looked
and stuff.
like,
it's the volume.
Do you remember the series, the Star Wars show what was it called? Was it called Obi-Wan, Rabbi?
I think
it reminded me of scenes in that where he went to the futuristic city with the little girl, Princess Leia, and it was the same kind of vibe to that.
Yeah, apparently, I mean, they say, I've been reading about this stage. They say it's like as close to an actual holodeck as you can get, because all of these LED panels and the motion cameras and stuff make the perspective things like seem like really, really wide. But so I thought some of the background shots were interesting. I did like the shot where when the mom has him the knife at his throat,
Yeah.
and he stages their recognition with just their eyes, and he plays the recognition of and the reunion just through eyes. I thought that was a really interesting directorial choice from Frakes. We mentioned the ship coming in, which is a ripoff, but the visual's good. I thought that even though the perspective is wrong, the pullback at the last shot of the episode, the pullback, I thought was done, pretty well. But again, all directorial choices. I just, before we get into, I know we're going to talk about the whole Omega thing, but I have to comment on what I think is just one of the dumbest lines in the show. So when the president shows up, he says, and I wrote this down, they're talking about the threat of the Omega again. And he says, it might be millions of years before warp travel will be possible here, if ever. And I'm sitting there going, well, millions of years seems pretty ever to me. It's like, that was kind of silly. But then at the end, when he says, toward the end of his conversation, where he says that it took them a month to, it's been a month, but we finally figured out, what was stolen back in the Miyazaki episode.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, wait a minute, just beyond the simple absurdity of that comment, that it takes them a month in a highly classified station to actually take inventory of what's actually missing, beyond the absurdity of that, wouldn't something as potentially catastrophically destructive as a synthetic Omega particle be pretty much the very first thing you check to see if it was still there or not?
That makes too much sense, Gary. And also it's the fact that, and with the whole explodey thing, so we're gonna wreck warp drive. So you're going with that plot line again, the plot line that
was my problem with it.
You
it
can't
feels
come
like
up with
the
something
typical Kurtzman, all or nothing, end of the universe finale. I just rolled my eyes.
Well, okay, but Chris, here's the thing, Chris. It's like, I wouldn't have minded as long as it would have, again, I've given up on being triggered by canon stuff in this show. And it just, I think I can only ever be triggered by just like stuff that just makes absolutely no logical sense, because I keep picturing the writer's room and wondering if there's anybody who makes these objections, during the whole process.
Gary, that's the only way that I'm able to handle this, to kind of almost forget that I'm meant to be watching Star Trek and accept it as a 45, 50 minutes, an hour's tops of just some generic sci-fi action TV show that now and again something reminds me of a little bit of Star Trek.
That's
and just to try, because it fails, it undoubtedly fails as Star Trek, both in terms of ethics and messaging, and in terms of the kind of the standards, the quality that I would expect, that which I would find within a Star Trek script. None of that stuff is there. So I think, well, okay, can this hold my attention for 45, 50 minutes to an hour, is what I'm left with, because I've committed to watching it.
Well, it's
in this instance, it's one of only, I think, 2 occasions in this series that's even come close, and this has, in my view, been the most successful, because I think it was spirited, and I think it was, there was a desire to entertain. I didn't feel preached to or messaged in any way at all. But all of the criticisms that everybody has for it is threadbare in many respects. It is very generic, but that feels like a mercy after the last few weeks.
I agree. I think, as you said, I think, Dan, you said it's like the most watchable episode of the season. I would agree, but since they're setting up the whole like culmination of the season, And if you're going to reference a very memorable, well done episode of Voyager, so back in that episode of Voyager, so they discovered this omega molecule, a single molecule back in the Delta Quadrant, and there's like dozens of, the ship shuts down, there's massive protocols for dealing with it. It's called the Omega Directive, and the ship shuts down and only the captain's supposed to know about it. And then what happens is you call in an extra specialty like task force to come in and deal with it. But of course, being stuck out in Delta Quadrant, they can't. So the whole crew of Voyager has to solve the problem. But so in that episode, Janeway is willing to sacrifice her entire crew to destroy the single molecule of Omega because it's so destructive. So now here we're asked to believe that the Federation, and that was for a single molecule. So we're asked now to believe that this Federation, which is why this Federation is doomed, has made 47 different versions of it to monkey around with and test at this super secret facility, only guarded by one ship. A ship, by the way, which instead of staying and protecting this, catastrophic apocalyptic threat, goes off to save 5 cadets.
That's
which
the
is
problem.
like, makes no that redefines.
It screams at you
Stupid.
the entire time
It
that
is
you're
the-
watching
it
it.
is the
happen.
worst-
Redefines stupid.
It's the worst conception of a Star Trek plot in history, and it is so asinine because you have this like deadly thing. It's like that lab in Wuhan. I guess it's the future version of that. But okay, so you have this thing that can basically destroy everything and end warp drive. So this is where you can only suspend disbelief to a certain point. Obviously, this is in the future somehow. There are so many things in this that don't make sense, but that is a big one. You have this thing that could destroy the universe, guarded by one ship, when we know they have many ships. Remember when they had their fake war with the Klingons in the Muffy episode?
Yep.
So we know they have a lot of ships, but they have this one ship that's gone. But there are things like that don't make any sense. So one question I have is, why wasn't everybody fired? Why wasn't Mumbles fired for getting them into that situation in the first place? Why is General Wimpy or Commander-in-Chief Wimpy still your Commander-in-Chief?
Yeah,
Once
he'd
you
be
get
gone.
impeached for something like that,
He'd be
it's
gone.
like everybody should have been fired. But even things like this, like what is security like on this ship? Okay, so our degenerates, a bunch of kids, steal their shuttle. Nobody notices because they're idiots. And then within the same episode, you have 2 cadets that somehow sneak on to your ship, which is 1,000 years in the future, which is supposed to have like super magical technology, and you don't even notice them. You suck.
Listen, I have to say, I find discussing this every week so incredibly boring. I'm just so freaking bored talking about this shit. Okay, how do
One
they
week, Rabbi.
cordon off Federation space by making a circle? Like maybe a sphere would have done the trick. Like, can't you fly left or right? I don't
Well,
get
you
it.
do see the sphere in the kind of pullback at the end.
Oh,
but
Right. Yeah, that
you
is
have to
true.
be.
That-
You have to
that
be
just
so
makes me want-
far. You have to be like in another star system in order to see that sphere.
It's such a stupid, evil plot.
Yeah.
Like we're gonna seal off all of Federation space. That's just it's so Kurtzman. It's like
Well,
sonar
it wouldn't
in
be.
space.
I mean, on this graphic, it wouldn't be that you would have to have the mines form the wall. Basically, all you need is for the sensors to basically ring it, because I don't think that this whatever Paul Giamatti wants to blow up the Federation. He just wants to seal them off. But the stupid thing is that, once again, evidence that, as Chris just said, Holly Hunters should be fired because she's an idiot. So when she's there with the war guy and they're brainstorming what his possible plot could be, did they never stop to ask themselves, okay, so he's trying to maneuver us to basically bring all our ships in to a confined space. Maybe they should have asked why. What would that do? You know, they're trying to brainstorm his possible plans, because she knows he's always got another agenda beyond what we're seeing, and yet it just makes her look like a complete idiot.
Gary, did you find, as I did, I did, the absence of Paul Giamatti from this episode, given the plot, given the threat, almost inexplicable? He wasn't in this, was he? He wasn't there. No. I'm not saying he had to be sort of twirling his moustache and sort of pacing around, beaming into the bridge, but I think he should have been in it. I mean, he's been in. I expect he must be in it next week.
Oh, absolutely, he'll be in it next week.
Rachel Talali. Maybe they can only have one reasonably priced actor per episode. That could. Where does the $10 million go? I'm saying these same things about these Iranian missiles, right? They cost $50 million each. They can't hit anything.
Rabbi, when you have people that don't know what the hell they're doing, and these people, nobody here knows what the hell they're doing, you can go through money very quickly if you're an idiot.
Yeah,
so
and also
I would say money is being lost through idiocy.
I think
there's a lot of embezzlement going on.
I do want to really quickly, super quickly. We won't need to get into a discussion. I only want to fulfill a promise to our missing panelist, David Milling, who had a couple of points, and he's off in on a beach in Bermuda or something now, or wherever he is this week. Tenerife. And so a couple of questions he has, and again, we don't need to discuss them. I'll just throw them out. He says, well, back in earlier episode, we saw Fish Boy drink shots in a bar, yet in this episode, he says his body can't process the enzymes in alcohol. He says that's kind of a contradiction. He says, like, how did Paul Giamatti mine the whole of Federation space in just 6 weeks, because he thought that was kind of weird. And then he says also, if only captains are supposed to know about this super secret Omega thing, how does Tig Notaro know about it? Why wouldn't the ship's computer notify the captain when a shuttle is taken without authorization?
Well, actually, Gary, just to the second point.
So those are David's. That's David's contribution.
Yeah, well, the second one there as well. When you're talking about the super secret talking about things, here's another point of complete idiocy on the part of Mumbles. So Mumbles and Mr. Shooty Pants are discussing this whole thing, which at this point should be completely secret. You know, the whole warp drive going boom boom thing, and the degenerate he walks in. They're like, "Oh yeah, come in." They continue to talk about it, not even looking to see who just walked into their office. Right. And I'm like, okay, so and then he's here. So literally, this is, again, if you look at it this way, Mumble's incompetence resulted in the theft of a shuttle that she didn't even notice. Like, she's a fucking idiot.
Things happen. It's the classic thing. Idiot. Things happen because they have to happen, not because they make any kind of sense at all, not because they have any internal logic to the scenario that's being played out in front of our eyes. It's not how anybody would ever behave at all. I do want to give credit here, though. The plot line. Tatiana Maslany, she's not an actress I've seen very often. Never watched Orphan Black. I know a lot of people really like that show. It was enough to make her a notable actress in geeky pop culture circles. You know, people were very interested in what she was going to do next. Unfortunately, that ended up being She-Hulk, which I think I lasted 20 minutes of that, and I don't think her career has ever really recovered from it. I've not seen enough of her. I thought that, aside from the ridiculous haircut, just as you said, Chris, I thought her acting, I thought she was fantastic in this.
I liked her in this. I mean, I liked her reaction.
She was really good. I say I haven't got a dog in this fight. I'd seen her a little in She-Hulk. I'm trying not to hold that against her. I know a lot of people really rate her, and I can see why now. I thought her chemistry with this guy, I believe that they were mother and son, which, considering that they haven't been together in the story, story terms for 15 years at this point, that's no mean feat. And the dialogue wasn't exactly good either. they were both on point, and I found those scenes between them at times extremely moving.
Agree.
As a viewer and as a parent who, without going into things too deeply, I've been through something similar enough to be a little too close for comfort with this. Yeah. And so I really did feel it. And I feel that they should both be commended for making something out of almost nothing with this.
Yeah, I agree. Like the scene where he's working with those particles to try to create the thing. She looks at him with pride, like she's proud that he's, but
there was real acting and an exchange of energy between the two of them that was making up for the material. And I just felt that they were working together really, really beautifully. And I want more of that. Ideally, and that was causing everybody else to raise their game in the scenes that they were there with. I mean, the girl who plays Genesis, I can't quite remember her name. She was good as well. Again, she was good because they were good. And the scenes where Caleb was trying to leave them all behind, like telling them what he thought of them, it wasn't particularly well written, but they all played that really, really well. I even felt it when Sam hugged him.
But
God,
that was a good scene.
That was good. And, I really had started to despise that character. So that worked. I'd like to see that carried through next week. But I believe that the reason why all of that worked so well is, I don't want to take it away from these two actors, the actor and actress in particular, but I feel that Frakes probably brought that out in them. And so I am fearful that next week that'll just turn to soup. To tell you the truth,
I think next week's probably going to be more.
And I thought the cliffhangers. I thought the cliffhangers were obviously very, very big and very cartoonish and very, very silly, but they did kind of work in quite a silly, primary coloured, cartoonish world, which is the world that this show exists in. So I thought that was fine. But again, I feel like I'm watching a kind of junior Firefly show or the Killjoys or one of these shows, stuff that I liked that was fine, just the C-tier trashy sci-fi show that is lifted now and again through a few decent performances.
The one thing about Trek, and Trek has a history of this, not totally, but several instances of having a great setup and then the second part isn't as good. Obviously, there's some exceptions like Best of Both Worlds, some of the Deep Space Nine two-parters, but a lot of the two-parters have great setups, but not good endings. Hopefully,
all the Next Generation season cliffhangers outside of Best of Both Worlds.
Best of Both Worlds, yeah. I'm my personal guess is, and obviously I don't know, my personal guess, I think there's going to be a big twist with the mom. I think the mom is running this thing.
Oh, that'd be
because
good.
Because the way when that other female soldier, I guess, was coming up to her, he goes, "Oh, I know you, aren't you?" And she shot her before she could say anything.
Oh.
I think that there's going to be a twist.
Wow, you paid real attention.
That the mom
Do
is.
you think
the mom
she's
is running it
with Paul Giamatti?
I don't think she's working with her. I think she's his boss.
That'll be cool. That'll be actually okay. Well,
that's just a guess. I don't know. I don't know. Because they need to come up with to ratchet up the drama and give Caleb a reason to not go with her.
Because it's clearly not going to end well for Caleb, is it? I think that's a given. It's not going to end well for anybody unless they can sort out this problem. So it's a very silly plot, a daft cliffhanger, but I suppose it is kind of visually memorable. If only it would have been the cliffhanger or a cliffhanger within a far more successful show. This has been an ordeal to sit through, and it doesn't. A few passable performances. And something that was at least reasonably diverting and energetic is not gonna let it off the hook when it comes to this time next week. I would imagine it would be, if not a feature-length finale next week, it's going to be a longer one that we're going to be.
I agree.
Yeah, it's be one of those.
No more.
So I haven't checked. I don't know how long it's going to be inflicting itself on us, but obviously I'm looking forward to catching up.
I just came up with two ways the
think.
show could be much better. Right, I just came up with the two brilliant ideas. That's what show could be much better.
More
one, Yeah, no, well, you swap the cast of this with the cast of Please Sir, which was a 1970s English sitcom about a school where the school kids are about 30 each, right? If you take both those casts and swap them over, that would actually work, right? I would watch that. And secondly, the only way to watch this and enjoy it is having it on a background while you're having sex with Sydney Sweeney, right? And that's basically it.
Really?
You've
want
really
mumbles
thought
in the
about this.
background while
You've
you're
thought
doing
about
that? That's
this,
gonna
I
kill
want anything
everything,
in the
dude.
background while I'm having sex with Sydney Sweeney. I don't really give a shit. Okay, it's like I don't think I'll be noticing it. By the way, was she worse this week, Mumbles? I mean, she was much more. Like,
Rabbi, there's a scene where I'm not joking. There's a scene where she literally looks like she has a stroke. When she discovers Brittany and the psycho on the ship, and she's yelling at them, she literally looks like she's having a stroke in that scene. I'm not making that up. Like, Jesus Christ.
Rabbi, you didn't appreciate the fact that we got another scene of her curled up in the captain's chair with her knee up. With her knee up. Yeah.
Oh God, I hate this. I hate this so much. I wish you knew how much I hated it. I hate this with every fibre of my fucking being.
The one more to go. Look, Starfleet Academy obviously wraps up next week with the season finale. We'll be.
Are we done talking about it? Can we do anything else? Because I can't stand it.
We'll be back to talk about that. But we have got some comments to get to in the live chat here on YouTube and Rumble. We'll find out what everybody else has got to say about all of this, what they've made of our suffering so far. If our troll has stuck around to hear any more, does he like what we've had to say anymore? No. I don't know. I'd say probably not. But let's check it out anyway.
Come on, kids, get your sweater. Let's go. Bye, Mom. Hot water wash. Okay. Cold water wash. Pretty clean. Oh, they didn't look that good. When can I stop kidding myself?
Out of the future comes all-temperature cheer with the all-temperature clean.
Must have powerful ingredients.
Certainly they're powerful. To give you the best-looking wash your world has seen in hot water, warm, cool, cold, and everything in between.
Terrific. Now that's white.
Cheer gives you a great-looking white in hot water.
And in cold water, that's clean.
Cheer beats even the leading cold water detergent.
Wait till you see my kids tomorrow.
I'll be watching.
Superior ability breeds superior ambition.
Boy, is this stuff clean and at all those temperatures. All temperature.
We should have a new game. We should play a game, ad or porn, right? What could it? What is it? It could go either way.
I was going to say boom, boom, everybody, but everything could go boom, boom next week if they don't get that omega particle stuff all sorted out, couldn't it? But where are you at with the first half of that and our conversation so far, our raw review? We're going to find out now by checking out your comments on YouTube and Rumble here. Hailing frequencies are open to talk about this latest episode 9, 300th night, and see who's turned up and what they have to say on the view screen. Funky was in with this first of all. 300th night probably feels like it to you poor people watching the episodes. I did wonder what on earth the title was in reference to, because this whole thing about the academic year, it simply doesn't work.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
Stephen Braddock said, "Hi everyone. I thought Academy couldn't get any worse, but it was the dumbest sci-fi I've ever seen." I felt this was the better one that we've seen so far, but I do know what you mean. Robot Shlomo has declared that Sam is the Black Tilly.
She is Black Tilly. Very smart there, Robot Shlomo.
And that it could be all about visual cues in relation to how the characters are coded. In a very and Gary, I remember saying to you week one, do we know what year this is set in? And you said 2026 because it isn't. It feels like now. It doesn't feel like the future remotely. Never mind 1,000 years.
Like I said, it's a frat house. It's a frat house with transporters.
David Milling is showing off in the live chat from Tenerife. That's where he's transported out to this time. Missing you lots. He said, I did a stupid thing and I watched this week's episode on holiday. Silly me. Terribly written, but direction by Frakes sort of saved it a bit. Thank you, David. Hope you're having a brilliant time. Enjoy yourself. We'll see you soon. Safe travels. Red 6 Down, of course, was in with that one. We don't understand sci-fi or Star Trek. It's supposed to be inclusive and forward-thinking, not like us. We are just forward-thinking. I think
I'm going to avoid having a rant.
I think forward-thinking is overrated. Myself. Culture Casino, our friend Culture Casino is back in the live chat. Good to see you, pal. Come back on the show soon, please. But he did ask us, season 2? Do you think it's getting the Batgirl treatment?
No.
Only if there's any sanity in Hollywood, and there isn't.
No, it will be getting the Batwoman treatment.
It might all. My only guess on that is I wouldn't be surprised if they dropped the whole season at once. I don't think they'll Batgirl it, but I don't think they might extend it out over 10 weeks.
So you don't
basically bury it?
Possibly.
No, okay. If I'm going to cover it, please don't do that.
Robot Shlomo says, I'll even take season 4 of Voyager about now. And
yes, no question.
Says the Artemis is with the crews of the Enterprise and Voyager. I don't want any idea what Red 6 stands for.
I think the Artemis crew is better than the Enterprise or Voyager.
Our man apparently has some brain damage, so let's not humor our little wussy anymore.
I can't work out what that's in relation to.
Well, he's an idiot.
Lucy Meow suggests that most episodes of the show are just filler, Chris.
Yes, and how does that happen? How do you have nothing but... Okay, so writers, we've had a few discussions, so writers, just look at me for a second. Okay, so when we were doing 26 episodes a year, you would have your really good episodes, but you couldn't blow your budget on everyone. Now, I'm not now Voyager, I'm not talking about you. You go sit in the corner. I'm talking about those 2 good shows up there in the original show, and 2 out of the 4 seasons of Enterprise. So writers. So there's this thing. So you have 26 episodes. At least half of those had to be really good. But then you have this thing called bottle episodes. But just because it's a bottle filler episode doesn't mean it has to be complete shit. But again, you seem to miss the point. Just because maybe these shows that we're looking at right here had to do maybe 10 bottle episodes or, lower budget filler episodes a year. And Voyager was terrible at this, but honestly, I would watch Voyager on a loop for the rest of my life, even the bad episodes, than sit through this again. But when you only have 10 episodes, you fucking idiots, you need to do something. How do you have 10 episodes of filler? That means that you have nothing to work with, which is what I assumed all along, that the show was based on Alex Kurtzman's endless hard-on over doing a Starfleet Academy series. And read into that what you will. I'm sure it's probably creepy. But that's basically, it seems that's all they had. It's going to be a show about Starfleet Academy, and that's it. You have to do something with this. You've had 9 episodes. You've done nothing. You suck.
They got
Peter Harrington says it sounds like the writers have very little life experience.
There you go,
Rabbi. I mean, what do you think, Rabbi?
He's right.
These are written by morons who've never done anything in their life, right? And probably never had sex. Without paying for it, but or trying to get them and move them up in their career.
Not even paying for it, Rabbi.
It's just these people are morons. I mean, they're just okay. I'll give you an idea, right? Yesterday. What was it? Friday. I was sitting outside, right? Because I got the shutters closed in my office, so I get no daylight. So I go outside as much as I can right now. Right? I'm sitting outside, and the neighbor's kid's there. He's like 20, 25, I don't know. And it's a kid that just stopped going to school one day, right? And the parents were fine with it. Okay. And he's sitting there bouncing a ball. Boom, 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 bouncing a ball. Boom, boom, boom. And he's doing this right. I'm thinking they're going, this kid's a fucking moron. Right? Yeah. So then his mother comes out. Well, I like it, right? And she's like, "Oh, don't bounce the ball there because we just got these new awnings on because you broke the last ones by bouncing the ball." He's like, "Okay," and he keeps doing it. She goes back inside, But this kid's a fucking moron, right? He can get a job working here easy. He will fit right on in.
So he's like the heptagram.
Duncan Funky Evans is in the live chat. Funky says, how many condom machines are on this ship? I think they've probably developed some new technology.
No, they haven't, because everything's 2026.
Everything else they have.
Spray on condoms, or they have like.
Well, I'm sure when they get one installed, it'll be announced by the Stephen Colbert.
Could be. And Robot Shlomo suggests that they've deliberately made Tatiana Maslany look uglier, so that the kids don't look so bad on camera, because she's an attractive woman. So I haven't seen many pictures. Last time I saw her, she was painted green, and that doesn't work for me. Not generally speaking.
She was quite alluring in Orphan Black, although unfortunately She-Hulk has kind of ruined Orphan Black for me. I think there are some roles that they will follow you forever, and you will never get over it. And unfortunately, She-Hulk is one of those roles.
That's probably true. Although I was just thinking, I was musing on my channel about a week ago. Something like, are there cosplay hookers, right? Like, because I go, what would I want a hooker to cosplay as? I would always want to go for the Orion slave girl, right? But the paint will just come off on me. But she's got to be in character, either that or Vulcan in Pomfar, right? Probably easier to pull off. I do expect during that session I will be pulled off.
Would it be Kirstie Alley's Savick you would go for, or Robin Curtis's Savick?
Oh, Kirstie Alley. No,
Kirstie Alley. Yeah.
Really?
She always looked slightly more pissed off, didn't she? Which sort of...
she had that nice like white robe on at the time, when she was still thin and young and hot. Oh, yeah, it was like cut off like very, very, very high up above. And she looked great in that. Yeah, that was good.
She did.
Kirstie Alley was hot as hell. I'm standing by that.
I agree with you completely. Angels Pierre says the writing of the show is so bad. You can ask any Real Trek fan to write an episode on the spot, and they only have an hour. I guarantee all of them will come up with a better written product.
Okay, this is why AI is going to take over. Because this is the competition. You tell me AI couldn't write better than this?
Well, no, Rabbi, the point is that the only people getting the jobs are fucking idiots, because they're managed by people like Alex Kurtzman. There are still many talented people. Look at Star Trek Continues, or New Voyages, or I guess
they were great. And then
there are very, very talented, or Axanar.
Yep.
There are very, very talented people out there that could write amazing Star Trek. Unfortunately, they're not even able to make their fan films anymore, because we have to accept this shit. So because this is what's on screen doesn't mean that these are the only options. These are the options that these people chose to go with.
This is why I'm behind AI.
Right? Well, no, not AI. Hire people that are... Okay, here's what you do. Oh, hello, people that made Star Trek Continues. Okay, how about we hire these people?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Hire Stephen Barry. You're still around. Okay. All the competent people that are still around behind Star Trek.
Chris,
okay, you're here. Let's give them the job.
That's not going to help you.
They don't get jobs. We hire idiots.
I think the only reason why we had the callback to Voyager, the Omega Directive in this episode, was because the story and the script was by Kirsten Beyer, who has written like at least 10 or 12 of Voyager novels. So she is beyond conversant on Voyager, and probably it was not hard at all to come up with, let's do a sequel to Omega Directive.
You know what? That might be possible, but I think what's more possible was they were ripping off Galaxy Quest. When they had an Omega 36 or something on that. They said, let's do an Omega 36 like on Galaxy Quest, and what's the name? Knew enough about Star Trek to actually translate it into Star Trek.
Peter Harrington is amazed that there is a writer's room on this show. I am your servant. So it speculates here that it could be written by morons.
Actually, I will tell you what the writer's room consists of. So all these freaks go into a room each week, and they've got a whiteboard. We can't do chalkboards anymore because they've been canceled, so it's a whiteboard. Oh, no. And at the top of that whiteboard, they begin every brainstorming session with one question. How can we piss off Star Trek fans this week? And that's the entire directive, and it all flows from there.
You have to wonder about this stuff. Funky says perhaps Frakes actually got some proper acting out of everybody.
I would agree.
Not everybody, but it was noticeably better. Lifted.
Well, even Frakes couldn't help mumble. She got worse.
Yeah,
this
not
week.
the cat lady.
Well, that's the thing. She kind of disappeared into the scenery. So all that stuff that she was doing, the physical stuff, perching on various consoles and things, it looked like. I remember when one of my daughters, she would, if she knew that you were displeased with her in some way, you told her off. She would sort of put her hands behind her back and sort of walk around your general area, and then sort of you're watching she'd come and sit directly in front of you and say, "Daddy." And that's what it was like. Is when she knows you're doing something else and that you're not very happy with her, it's like, please, am I forgiven yet? Am I forgiven yet? And that's how Mumbles came across in this, like a bored little girl who'd been sent for quiet time, or on the naughty step, or whatever you want to call it.
No gravitas whatsoever.
None at all. None at all.
Like none whatsoever. It's all filth. He's right. He's right.
He's got a point. He's got a point. There's a comment in the live chat which I have starred, but I'm not going to read it. It's too.
I'll put it up. I'll read it.
I could get into some trouble for that. But it is. I agree with everything you've said. I can't even pronounce the person's name. Yes, less actors in an episode, less money to pay, says Lucy Meow. But it allows. I mean, I do wonder. Did they strip it right back deliberately, or I don't know?
Did they realise that what's the name? The Klingon Jem'Hadar was awful.
They
just
have to have done. Like Chris said, she's been gone for too long.
She's been gone.
She's only been in
mentioned her name once, and that's it. But she's been gone for I think 3 episodes now.
Yeah.
And Portly Dan didn't make it past the first episode.
The Jem'Hadar has only been in 5 of the episodes so far, so maybe she was contracted only for half the season.
Not Plumpy.
Don't you're gonna have to get a new icon there, Chris.
More fans.
No, we will never forget.
Of Tatiana Maslany. What the hell did they do to her hair? I wondered if she was going to be on some sort of Vulcan colony. I wonder what was going on.
That's what I thought. I thought, they're trying to tie her into being Vulcan somehow.
Well, they're not. According to my discovery, they're not called Vulcans anymore. It's no longer Planet Vulcan. It's called Planet Stupid Name.
Nevar.
Yeah, I decided to sort of tune out that nonsense as well. And PD Rich, who is back home after a stint in hospital, get well soon, mate. He says, yes, having 4 lymph nodes removed was far better than watching this excuse.
I'm living in a fucking war. I'm in a bomb shelter. This is still the worst part of my day.
I live in Canada.
Fun comments from
That's
you guys
quote
there
for
in the live
ages,
chat.
Rabbi.
Thank you so much. If we've got to suffer, then so have you. There's been some conversation surrounding this out there on the view screen, some, but not much. A lot of attention did focus on the arrival of Jonathan Frakes, an adult in the room, a professional on the bridge. And yeah, we kind of think that he sort of delivered, really. Here he is working with sort of Mumbles. I think he's just got a big red pen and saying, forget that bit. Forget that bit.
To summarize that, yes, they brought in the adult to fix things, and the adult was so frustrated. The adult has said that he's done directing this show.
I mean, how many times do you think he said, just sit in the fucking chair normally?
No, this scene is her saying, Jonathan, I have too many words here. Can't you cut out a few words? I don't want to do so much talking.
And what the hell is Tig Notaro doing in the background? That she looks like she's giving a monologue.
I think she's
fingering the invisible Jem'Hadar.
Oh God! Here's Jonathan Frakes with the lead actor. I can't remember what his name is. Cosmo Smallpiece or something like that.
Cosmo Smallpiece.
Do you remember Cosmo Smallpiece?
I'm Cosmo Smallpiece. I'm here to save you.
But again, cultivating a relationship with these actors, talking them through. This is what a professional does. I don't think it's any coincidence that these are the only pictures that have been released by the production team of a director working with the actors, because he's probably the only one that was either bothered
I want
to
see
do
the
so.
Picture of him having a nervous breakdown near the end of filming.
always capable. That's Jonathan Frakes, obviously a Star Trek legend from his first appearance in 1987, season 1 of TNG, right up until that final season of Star Trek Picard.
Yeah.
Lean in leather. He sort of looks like Han Solo crossed with Jeremy Clarkson or James May, or one of the Top Gear guys. The Grand Tour.
You know what? If anybody's a Jonathan Frakes fan, or even if you're a general Star Trek fan, watch the new podcast that he does with Brent Spiner. I think it's called Brent and Johnny Talking. It's fun.
Yeah, we should review that.
I'm assuming it's not woke. Hopefully, it's not woke.
No, it's just the two of them sitting there chatting.
I bet that'd be good.
Okay, I might check that out.
Give it a few weeks.
The Katie Sackhoff podcast.
I've seen some of that.
That's a good one.
Really good.
It's good.
And
the Michael Rosenbaum one is good too.
Well, Michael's been doing that for years and years and years. He's fantastic at what he does. I think Katie Sackhoff is very likable. I'm surprised how likable that woman is. I haven't seen much of the Frakes and Spiner one. I caught 5 or 10 minutes. I've been meaning to go back to it, so maybe we could review some of those in the future, because I think that looks like fun. And obviously, there's the two guys from Enterprise who've been doing theirs for a number of years as well. So they are out there. But there's been a lot of memes and AI slop this week, as ever. People letting their imaginations run wild, imagining what if TOS existed and was being made by the Starfleet Academy people.
Jesus Christ, I can't see that.
Rabbi, make sure you get that blue-haired lady in there on one of your thumbnails.
Oh, really? Oh, my thumbnail for tomorrow is really quite good. Good old Sydney Sweeney came down by for a photo shoot.
Yeah, yes, Rabbi. Put the blue-haired lady in a bikini.
Oh God! Honestly, really, why would I? Okay, that's not my brand. My brand is very obvious titillation.
But the story that has made itself out there that a great many people are talking about, we've been aware of this for a little while. It was one of those where if you tell people about it, you're just being a hater. There's nothing wrong. Everything's going to be fine. But sure enough, this story has broken practically everywhere. Mainstream outlets as well as dedicated Star Trek ones are reporting that a Star Trek is out of production as of now. For the first time in over a decade, no new Star Trek TV series are in active production.
Thank God.
So thankful for that.
Right.
It's been pretty painful the last 10 years.
It's been a long road getting from there to here.
Yeah, anybody.
So those of you, we are back in the 2000s. This is basically 2005, but worse. See, Dan, the difference between 2005 and now is Enterprise went from being a not very good show to being some of the best Star Trek we ever got. In 2005, the franchise went out on a high. In 2026, the franchise is going out with Starfleet Academy. We're not going to see Star Trek for a while.
And thank God for that, frankly. I mean, because this is a travesty. Again, listen, look, Star Trek fandom are the people who actually, I mean, they move fan films into such an incredible level, right? I think we'll see something like that again once Kurtzman's out, and that's the only reason I haven't been fan films for all these years.
No, we won't, Rabbi, because the directives originally put in place by CBS are still there, and I don't see them removing them, even though there is no Star Trek. They still don't want competition, just to underscore how bad the decade of Star Trek was, with the exception of one season of Picard and maybe a dozen or so good episodes of Strange New Worlds. It's been completely
no. There were about 8 good episodes.
Say what?
There were 8 good episodes, I think.
I need to count, but 8, 10. There weren't a lot.
It was less than a season. It was the first season was okay, but he had a couple of duffers, and then second
the musical episode.
Dan, if they announce that Kurtzman's contract has been renewed and Starfleet Academy is getting a season 3, we're going to have to do like an instant live stream reaction, the 4 of us.
I can't even imagine.
Yeah. I
can't imagine.
When we're out of the dead sort of heat of this season of Starfleet Academy, this is something I believe we should go back to. I do have some information about this. I am expecting more to come my way about what to expect, about what hit the fan and why. So stick around, because we will be persisting. We will be continuing in our mission, even when Starfleet Academy is long gone. So that's going to be worth sticking around for I promise. Yeah, you as well.
And
Chris-
would anybody like me to head off to Toronto and go to the building where this is filmed and just start shouting?
Yes.
Citizen journalism. Get out there. Give them what for.
There you
Explain
go.
that you've been through hell, Chris. We all have.
Yeah, we
We
have.
all have.
But for
So
those
we-
of you who don't know, this show is filmed in a literal swamp. I'm not joking. Pinewood Studios used to be a swamp, and it was more appealing back then. It was a swamp in terms of what came out of it than what comes out of it now. So
It's
hashtag
starting to make
reclaim
so
the
much sense.
swamp.
It's starting to make so much sense. Frakes Fail says, "I am your
No.
servant."
Don't agree.
No, I don't either. Frakes is apologizing to the actor about him being on the show. Oh, I see. Yeah. Not many people are very happy with this. Peter Harrington remembers Holly Hunter when she used to be able to act in films like Always,
Yeah.
the Steven Spielberg movie with Richard Dreyfuss a few years ago. A guy named Joe. I've never seen that one. What on earth happened to her? Heaven only
Brain damage.
knows. I don't think her career is going to recover from this. But then again,
I don't think
maybe
she
it was over
cares.
anyway.
I think she's hard as a kite for most of it.
She must have been shit-faced a few weeks ago in
Must
that one
have been.
episode because none of it, there wasn't a word of English that was leaving her lips.
Oh, Dan, I could not watch this. I don't know. This is maybe true for all of you guys as well. I couldn't watch the show without the subtitles on because I wouldn't be able to understand a single word she says. Seriously.
Dark Embracer has joined us on YouTube and says the best of Star Trek was Star Trek: The Next Generation with Picard and the Picard series. It depends which season you mean, but most of it's better than this. Let's be honest. Frakes, we've got more Frakes failed. People are not very happy with Jonathan Frakes for even doing this. I would say that Frakes succeeded in his end of the bargain.
Yeah.
You can polish a turd here and there to some degree.
I'll say this. I don't think Frakes knew what he was getting into.
No.
Again, I think he
enough.
got a paycheck and he's perfectly happy.
I will disagree to a certain point. Yeah, yes, there is a lot of paycheck chasing, but I think with Frakes and within Star Trek, there are several that have only been interested in paychecks. I don't think I would necessarily consider Jonathan Frakes one of those people.
No.
Keep in mind,
No.
his entire adult life has been Star Trek, other than his magic show. And I think he was a producer on Roswell, if I remember. But other than that, his entire life has been Star Trek. And yes, he gets paid, and he gets paid very well. But I think with the amount of involvement he's had, I think you do gain a certain level of attachment to it. I think anybody would in his position. So I don't think he did it just for the paycheck. I think there's a lot of things that are very telling.
That's fair.
The things that he could fix, he did fix. I don't think even I, who had been warning about this for 3 years, this turned out worse than even I would have expected. I don't think anybody thought it was going to be this bad. I think Frakes signed up for this long before. I think it's telling. Like the day this episode dropped, he publicly stated he is done directing Star Trek for now.
Well, I'm honestly, Chris, you mentioned that before. I'm actually honestly surprised they didn't ask him to film like something for season 2.
Gary, I think there's a reason for that. I honestly, now this is just me speculating. So yes, this is not rumor or anything. This is just me using my toxic little brain and just speculating what I think happened. I think that Frakes didn't know what he was getting into until he filmed the episode. I think something went on behind the scenes for him to drop that story the day this episode dropped on Paramount Plus, because it was the same day. I think something happened behind the scenes, and I think that is why he's not back for season 2. Either he said, fuck this, what the hell is this shit? Or I think maybe he pissed off the writers because he maybe told Kurtzman and friends, this is trash, and they didn't want him back. something happened, because you don't announce that you are never directing something again the day the thing you directed drops. It's the whole timing of the thing.
Now you mention it, it is somewhat strange. Starfleet Academy Season 1 thankfully concludes next week. It's streaming exclusively on Paramount Plus all over the world, depending on where you are.
Like
You can let us know. You can let us know your further thoughts, of course, in the comments section, YouTube and Rumble, or email us at warpdrivestartrek@outlook.com. That was episode 9, 300th night. And we'll be back next time to talk about the 10th and final episode of the season. Let us know what you think.
And then the week after, we got to start picking good Star Trek to watch each week, right? We got to.
Well, next week
after everybody's taking a break, because this is horrible.
Next week, I actually really I expect to see a big bottle of champagne. Rabbi having a big bottle of champagne next week.
I'm actually looking forward to next week being done, because for 10 weeks I've been in hell, and it was not on my plan to do my woke Batman style videos on every episode of this. It just kind of happened because I was so disgusted by what I saw. I don't expect any more reviews from me for a while. Here's what I'll do. You might, if you're lucky, get one. I will sacrifice my life for 8 to 10 weeks a year, where I will do one of these. Outside of that, no. I like my life. I miss my weekends. I will probably do season 2, because this stuff is ridiculous. But yeah, the trigger train is going to be taking a break. But on the bright side, because yes, there is a bright side, at least I haven't covered that other show this year. So yay. And for those of you that keep asking, no, not now. No. At some point maybe, but no. I'd rather I don't know, fuck a light socket than have anything to do with that show. So there you go. That's your thoughts for the day.
Oh, that's something to consider. Something to consider while we check in. While we check in with this crowd.
Hi, I'm Chris, and this is Anna with MCI. She recently started a great friends and family calling circle.
A group of friends that wanted to get back in touch.
I believe I actually said we should resume communicating.
So Anna called, and I signed up.
And Chris called me. I thought if anybody belongs in friends and family, it's us.
I used to get tired of staring at those faces. Now I kind of miss them.
I joined to save the 20% because when I call him, I end up talking to an answering machine, which is more interesting than he is.
I'm usually home. I'm just selective about the calls I take.
When they were forming the circle, they obviously saved the best for last.
Oh, that's why she called me next.
Who is that?
How did you get in here?
There seems to be some error.
I believe you were in the wrong circle.
Call and start saving an extra 20% on calls to your own friends and family circle.
Every week, thousands of people join the millions who already have MCI friends and family. If you'd like to be one of them, give us a ring. After all, shouldn't your least expensive calls be to the people you care about and call all the time?
We made it. We made it. We're laughing after all.
Just.
Thank you, everybody, for another roaring mission. We made it back in one piece, just about. Only one more to go. Thank heaven
God.
for that. Here at Warp Drive. The comments are still flying in. People can't get enough. So it's best to leave them wanting more. I often find Rabbi's crackers look semi-creamed.
Oh, they're so fucking creamed. Oh my god, I hate
Cream that shit.
Oh, oy vey.
Yeah, back to Starbase, mate. So you can kick up your heels and sort out your crackers. But you are, I would imagine, you're streaming over the next 2 or 3 days. Where can people
tomorrow.
find you?
Here's the thing: streaming tomorrow, war permitting. Like my office is our bomb shelter, which is a bit of a pain in the ass. So whenever there's a siren, my wife and daughter come down here. They got their beds over here, and they I've turned my entire life upside down. I've lost any vestige of personal space, and they got pissed off at me for doing a live stream. I'm like, what do you want me to do? You got to sit here for 20 minutes and leave. Like I've done all this shit. You can't put up No. So, war permitting, I'm streaming tomorrow. That's my plan.
Good luck to you, sir. Valiantly continuing on.
Actually, you know what? I'm going to head out now. My creams are too crackered. I can't even.
Take care, my friend. Cream them crackers. Cream them good.
I'll cream them good, baby.
Okay,
Hey, tell them everybody.
Bye,
Thank
Rabbi.
you.
Good night, pal. Take care. Take care. The blinding Rabbi from another planet, as always. Go and check him out on YouTube. Chris, does this mean your icon has changed? Does this mean there could be an update of sorts from out in Frankland in hell?
No. So as we know, out of the many terrible things that Frank has done, apparently it's been rumored that Frank is actually behind Starfleet Academy. We reported that a few weeks ago. And so even Satan finds this completely unacceptable, and he is thoroughly disgusted. So he has been chasing Frank with his pitchfork for about 9 weeks now, and Frank is not having a very good time. This is not going to end well for Frank, and I am absolutely disgusted with Frank. So at some point, I'm sure he'll get away from Satan, and we'll get additional adventures from Frank. But Frank needs to suffer for this. So hashtag we side with Satan, and fuck Frank.
He's proving Frank is extremely resourceful. I'm always impressed by how he's managed to elude fate and Satan himself for so long, Gary. It really is quite something, isn't it?
I'm waiting for the revelation when Chris tells us that Frank has swallowed his comm badge.
Yeah.
No, even Frank's not that dumb. Although Satan may have shoved a comm badge up his ass. I don't know. There's some fucked up shit going on there.
Thank you again to David Milling, who can't be here, but he's very much here in spirit. Of course, our other crew member on this particular mission. He's out there in, I can't remember where it is, somewhere sunny by the pool with a cocktail or two. He's in Blackpool. Yeah. He's got a Scunthorpe for the weekend. No, he's actually somewhere exotic. So good luck to him. He'll be back sooner rather than later. I think he's around next time. I'm not quite sure when he's back, but I know he'll be back eventually. So thank you again to David for sending us that missive anyway. And cheers to you, Chris, because I know you're suffering. You're not a well child, in all seriousness. So your perseverance.
Dude, I live in Canada. I'm used to misery, so it's par for the course for me.
Please stay away, and I mean this sincerely as your friend, Chris. Please stay away from what it sounds like your very dangerous driveway, because I don't want to hear that you've slipped and broken your back on your driveway.
I got me a big bag of salt.
Okay,
I'm really excited.
Very good.
Not the kind of salt that we all experience when we're watching this, is it? No. Look, where will it end? This is hardly fitting for the 60th anniversary of Star Trek, is it? Come on now. The year can only get better. One more of the special review shows here on Warp Drive, a Star Trek podcast, and then you'll have to wait and see what we've got planned to follow it. As the Rabbi said, we deserve a treat or two, and so do you. So stick around, and who knows where and when the next mission will take place. We've got some sort of idea. If you want the other show, that other thing we don't mention at Type 40 Live every Thursday with the Big Who, catch up on the latest edition of the live stream magazine show that covers that show right now. So we checked in with what had gone on at the London Comic Con last weekend. We found out what Stephen Moffat had been saying. Had he been dissing the current showrunner of Doctor Who? Perhaps. Oh, I said it. Oh, God. We looked at the recent tabloid stories there that had been filling up fan sites over the last week. Lots of nonsense and wishful thinking. Exclusives that weren't exclusives that we bought you 6 months to a year ago. So we went in on them and that, and we looked at the scandalous depletion of the tribute to Yanto Jones that's going to take place in Cardiff over the coming weeks. Yeah, they're taking down the shrine. We gave you our opinions on all of that there on Type 40 Live. So go and check it out there on the Type 40 channel. And we'll meet you back here next time for the conclusion for our review of the season finale. So the Federation space is sort of bubbled and sealed off. God, I wish I was. It sounds quite appealing, come to think of it, doesn't it? And we'll pick up the story. We'll pick up the story there, gentlemen. I mean, I can't say I'll be counting the nights. I won't be sat there sort of waiting for this to drop come Thursday, whenever it is. Yeah, I did begrudgingly. I didn't find this episode a chore. I enjoyed it in places, considering what it was. But I suspect.
Try watching it 3 times. Your opinion will change.
For only 3 times.
He's kind of up the ante, isn't he? But I suspect things are going to get considerably worse next time. So don't let us go through it alone. Make sure you're here.
I agree with you. I mean, I am kind of curious as to how this whole thing is going to resolve.
I think want it to be over.
Yeah, my guess is that the glitter vomit will nullify all of the minds. You know, so it'll turn out that Barf saves the Federation.
They'd be stupid enough to come up with something like that, so why not?
Oh, who knows? We'll find out in just a few short days' time here at Warp Drive. But we're warping out for now. We'll see you out there somewhere, maybe next time.
Toodles.
Thank you, everybody, for all of those comments.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye, everybody.